Hi, I'm Kev, Head of Catering at St Richard's Hospice. Today I'm going to show you how to make sea bass in a light curry broth with pak choi and lime. Great dinner party dish for a starter or as a light meal on a summer's evening. Okay, let's get started. First of all, we're going to prep the sea bass fillets. You'll be able to get fillets of sea bass from your fishmonger or supermarket. They'll come like this, but we're just going to tidy it up for presentation reasons. So we'll just take an angle cut off one end, an angle cut from the other end, and then we'll cut off the belly fat in a straight line, like that. And then on the skin side, we're just going to make a few small incisions in the skin. Because the skin cooks quicker than the flesh, it will curl up, and also these little notches will help the heat penetrate, help the skin get crispy, and help the flavour get into the fish. So there you go, that's your finished sea bass. Right, now we're going to prep the other parts of our dish. There will be a recipe leaflet which will be available in a link with this video, so don't worry if you don't remember it all. I'm going to start off with some shallots. Just going to finely slice these. You can use white onions if you don't have shallots. There you go, so that's 50 grams of diced shallots. Okay, so next is 3 large cloves of garlic. So if you peel the garlic carefully, you don't want to crush it because we're going to chop it quite thick. There you go, you want to slice quite thick, kind of like that thickness, because you want to be able to find these pieces. Remember, it's a broth, it's not a soup. So you want pieces of garlic, and same with pieces of ginger and chilli. So this is fresh stem ginger, available everywhere. So you want to peel off the outside brown skin. And chop it into strips. See, you've got strips of ginger. Chop those down to small sticks. Again, you don't want it too fine because you want to be able to have pieces of ginger in the broth. Now some baby corn. We're going to slice these really thin. These will go in the broth right at the end. They'll go in raw and they'll just cook in the heat of the broth, so you want them very thin and on the angle of presentation. And as you can see, we've kept all of our ingredients separate, so when it comes to cooking, we'll have right time. So all we do now is move over to the stove and we'll start cooking the broth. So we're going to add the vegetable oil. It does sound like quite a lot, but you do need quite a lot for frying up the spices. Then we're going to add the shallots, the garlic, chilies, and the ginger that we chopped earlier. So now I've got the dry spices, which is a teaspoon of Madras curry powder, half a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of ground coriander, half a teaspoon of paprika, and a pinch of cinnamon. We're going to put that in with the chili, onions, garlic, and we're going to fry that off. Frying off the spices will release the oils and the flavours, and if you don't cook the spices out, you'll end up with a grainy broth. So now we are going to deglaze the pan with a dessert spoon of soy sauce. Deglazing the pan will lift all the spice and things off the bottom of the pan, and also the soy sauce will season the broth. We're not going to add any salt to this, so we've got soy sauce and chicken stock in there. So now we're going to add the 600 millilitres of chicken stock. So once that's boiling away nicely, we'll reduce it down to a really gentle simmer. Add 2 teaspoons of honey, some natural sweetness. What we've got here is a pan of water at a rolling boil. And all we're going to do, with a little bit of salt in it, so all we're going to do is drop in the pak choi, like that, and then take it off the heat. So the broth's on and simmering, the pak choi sat in the hot water, just gently cooking through. So now we can cook the sea bass, plate the dish, and then eat it. The best bit. So we've got a nice non-stick pan, it's nice and hot with some oil in it. And now we're going to cook the 2 pieces of sea bass from earlier. Because we kept them on the cloth, we should have dried the skin out nicely. And because the skin's nice and dry, it's much less likely to stick. So we're going to put the fillets in the pan and lay them away from us to avoid any splashes. And we're going to gently keep our hands on top of it, just your fingers, to avoid it curling up too much. Starting to go nice and brown. So you can see where the white bit is coming up to the top of the fish, just here. That means it's cooked, and this bit's not cooked yet. So it's all cooking from the bottom, take the flesh. So what we're going to do now is we'll flip them over, add a little bit of butter, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then we'll be ready to serve. A nice base with the butter, nice crispy skin. Lime juice going in there. We'll turn the broth, just turn the broth off now. Now we're going to add the baby corn to it. Give that stir in, that'll just cook through really gently while it's hot. Okay, so the baby corn's had a bit of time to sit in there now. So what we're going to add now is the zest of 3 limes. And the juice of the rest of the 2.5 limes from the recipe. We used half on the fish. It's important you add this at the end, because you don't want to cook the lime juice out. You want it to be fresh and zingy and work alongside the chilli and the richness of the soy sauce and the broth. It does sound like a lot, but this is for 4 people. stir that in while it's off the heat, and then we can serve. So to plate the dish, I've drained off the pak choi, seasoned it a little bit, and we're going to place that in the centre of the bowl, just there. Then we're going to take the broth, pour it all around the pak choi. Okay. A fillet of sea bass goes on top. And we finish that with spring onions, fresh chopped coriander, lots of it, lots of spring onions too, and the black sesame seeds. And there you have it.